In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the front brakes on this Jeep Cherokee. Let's get into it. We're going to remove the wheel, use a 19mm socket, take the lug nuts off. And the last one, I'm just going to hold the wheel on so it doesn't fall. And grab the wheel and slide it off. We're going to take this screw out. I'm going to use a 5mm hex key. Loosen that up. You could use a socket as well. Take that screw out. Just temporarily, I'm just going to put a lug nut here, or a lug bolt, just to prevent the rotor from falling once we take the bracket off. Before we take the caliper off, we just want to crack the bleeder screw loose. We don't want it leaking, but we're going to take the little boot off, use an 8mm socket or a wrench. Just crack it free and then just snug it up, because we're going to need that loose later. That's good. Using a 14mm socket, loosen up the two caliper bolts. You might need some pliers to prevent the pin from spinning. Take those bolts out. And just grab the caliper. Might have to rock it back and forth a little bit. Slide it off. We're going to use a caliper hanger. Slide it through the caliper and hang it from the coil spring. Now we're going to take these springs off. They just pop right out. Grab the brake pads. Slide those out. If you need to, you can use a screwdriver. Just pry these out. Now we're going to take the bracket bolts off. We're going to use an E20 socket. Loosen those up. Slide that out and slide the bracket right off. Now just take a hammer and just tap the rotor in this area. Just to loosen it up. If it doesn't come off, you can tap it from the back side. There we go, pop that off. And take the lug bolt out and slide it off. Now we're going to clean up the hub surface. Just use a wire brush, get the rust off. Now I'm just going to take some copper anti-seize, just give it a spray, just a light coat, just to prevent corrosion in the future. And just clean the back of the new rotor. Just use some brake parts cleaner and wipe it down with a rag. Flip it around. Do the same on this side. Install the rotor, slide it in position. I'll just take that screw, line that up. And we'll just snug that down. Just snug, not too tight, and you don't have to put a lug bolt in now with that screw in. Now we're going to clean up the bracket. You want to take these clips off. Just use a straight blade screwdriver. Just pry these off. Just use a wire brush. Just take a little silicone paste or some brake caliper grease. This is just going to slow down corrosion. And take the clips, slide those on. They only go one position with this little bump out where this kind of hinges towards the outside. Like this would be the wrong one. Just like that. Because the rotor is in the middle, otherwise this would be grinding on the rotor. Then you're going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to remove the caliper pins. You can use some pliers if you need to, or just grab them and just work them back and forth. Slide them out. There we go. Just use a little brake parts cleaner. Clean these off. Wipe them off with a rag and spray a little brake parts cleaner in the hole. Just try to clean those out the best you can. Even use the wire brush, like a pipe cleaner type brush. That's good. Take a little silicone, not too much, just a thin coat. That's good. Just want to dry this out a little. Slide the pin in. Push that in, make sure it seals on the boot. There we go. And we'll do the same on the other one. There we go. Now we can reinstall the bracket on the vehicle. And line the bracket up. Put the bolts in. Put a little thread lock adhesive on the bolts. Those down. We're going to torque these bolts to 129 foot-pounds. Take the brake pads. We're going to take the brake warning indicators and put those on. You want to put those on the same direction where they came off. Slide the pads on. All right, those are on. Good. Put the springs on, the top and the bottom. Now we're going to compress the caliper. We're going to use our 8mm wrench over the bleeder. Then I'm going to use a hose. Open the bleeder. And using a compressing tool. Just nice and slow. Compress the caliper, and you can see the brake fluid. The old brake fluid is going up the hose and into our bottle. Now that's fully compressed, I'll close the bleeder screw. Snug it up the best you can while it's off. We'll tighten it up later. Take the hose off. Remove the compressing tool. Let's see, that's compressed. The boot looks okay. Slide the hook off. Now we're going to go over the brake pads. Take the bolts, get those started. Tighten these down. If you need to, use a wrench to hold the pin from spinning. And torque these to 32 foot-pounds. Just using pliers or even a wrench to hold that from spinning. Now just tighten down that bleeder screw, just snug it up. Take a little brake parts cleaner and just clean this area. And take the cap, put it over the bleeder. Put the wheel on, line it up. The lug bolts in, get those started. Then we're going to torque the lug bolts to 100 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. Just go around again, double check. That's good. Nice and slow. You want to pump the brake pedal. There is an air gap between the piston for the caliper and the brake pads. So about 3 or 4 times, that should be good. Under the hood, you want to double check the fluid level. You can wipe the cap off with a rag, remove the cap. On the cap, it tells you what type of fluid to use, .3, and adjust accordingly. There we go. Max line is right around there. Take the cap, line it up, lock it down.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.